Hello. Hello. We're live on this alternative channel, Anti-War. This is my anti-war channel, but I do a lot of beer, liquor, and stuff. But, oh, nice smoke. Tonight I'm looking at Blue Moon. Harvest pumpkin wheat. Orange. Beige head. Cheers to you, Ron. Hey, Ronnie. Ronnie says cheers to you. He missed our hangout when we were talking about politically correctness. Like on my other channel, people are giving me grief because I said that there might be two sides to that founders raising lawsuit story. And it's funny, they were saying, if you defend founders, you might be racist. I said, first of all, I didn't defend them. I said, there might be two sides to the story. And so James P. Madonna said he runs into this all the time. He's a big liberal, you know. He says, but I run into these fanatics all the time. They're totally intolerant. They're like I said, they're Marxists, they're communists. You know, they cannot tolerate any viewpoints. They're hysterical. Can't discuss things with them. And then they were telling me, you're blocking my discussion points. You know, this not people coming on there saying things like, well, I disagree with you, and let me tell you why. They should not, you know, you should not consider two sides of the story or whatever. No, that's not what they were saying. They were saying, you know, this was their post, like, F founders, those racist MFers, Nazis, and all. And it's like, no, you're not going to put that on my channel. You know, I don't need that. I don't want to hear it. Or the other one telling me, if a woman is raped, you probably say she deserved it. Or, you know, you'd probably say she asked for it. It's like, that's not discussion points, okay? So my attitude was, I got an idea, get lost. And plus, they're coming at you with an alias, not using their real face. You know the same type. I'm here with my real face, like it or not. My real name. Well, in this channel, it's Anti-War, but you know, my regular channel. Ronnie says multiple sides to every story. No, but with the modern leftists, there isn't. There's only one story. And if you disagree, you're whatever they, you know, whatever term they want to use. And it's so similar if you read history about the great proletarian cultural revolution in China that ran from 1966 to 1976. That's the way it was. Absolutely could not disagree with any pronouncement, no matter how ridiculous it was. If you did, you were immediately labeled a reactionary, right-wing fanatic, right deviationist, whatever terms they were using. There's so many thousands of people were killed or humiliated or beaten to death, whatever. Their careers ruined with these cadres marching around. Well, they had more bravery, though. They would use their real face. The Chinese cadres, the Red Guards, these guys, they want to hide behind an alias. And when they go on the streets, they hide behind a mask, show how brave they are. And it's funny that they're anti-fascists. They say they're against the Klan. Well, you wear masks. All right, well, anyway, this is about pumpkin beer. And this Blue Moon pumpkin wheat is certified kosher. It's 5.7% alcohol. It's 16 international bitterness units. It's sold from August to October. So it's the last day it's going to be sold. Well, they might keep it on the shelf, but they might not. They might have told the distributor, pull it, no matter what. When Dixie had it on discount for $7.99. For the 6-pack, I was very pleased with that. They use real pumpkin and spices. And of course, wheat, malt, hops. The spices are cinnamon, nutmeg, cloves, and allspice. Cinnamon, nutmeg, cloves, and allspice. They say it should pair well with beef dishes and seasonal soups. Beef dishes and seasonal soups. Um, I'm just eating some corn chips with cheddar cheese sauce dip. I'm not going to eat too much. I'm trying to get back to exactly 145. This morning I was 145.4. You say, oh, wow, big deal. I know, and it's not a big deal. That's how these things start. You say, well, oh, 146, oh, 147. Oh, I'll check my weight next week. And then it's off to the races. Believe me, I know. I talk to people at work. Oh, I need to lose weight. And I'm thinking, you're never gonna. And I'm not talking they're 0.4 pounds overweight. Talking about their stomach sticks out like a balloon. And they're just headed for real trouble. And they're telling you how they're going to lose weight. Next thing, they putting pictures on Facebook of this huge buffet they're eating at Disney World. So you're not going to lose, or Universal Studios. You're not going to lose any kind of weight. You might have meant to say, I'm going to gain weight. They needed to lose it. Back to this. Ronnie says, racist has completely lost any true meaning as a word. You're right. Thrown around all the time now. It's a shame because it used to really mean something. Yeah, it was people that didn't like black people or some other race. Could be any race. You know, don't listen to the communists, the Marxists, Leninists, because they use all these like false premise, false construct. Oh, it's impossible for this. You know, they're the most racist, you know, really, but it's impossible for this person to be racist because of bad past infrastructure, discrimination, and built-in bias, and all, you know, all this really just like gobbledygook that they make up. Nice spices, pumpkin pie crust. And the flavor is, you know, it's a wheat beer. It's wheat, grain, malt, and the flavor, the body of it is bread, like a spice. You know, that's what it tastes like, a spiced holiday Thanksgiving, Easter party bread. So Blue Moon is a really good beer. They've been attacked. I'm talking about, I don't really like the regular Blue Moon, the Belgian wheat, but they've been attacked. You're not a real craft beer. You know, whatever. If it tastes good and it's well made, I don't know why people are so fixated on that, but some people are. And somebody said, you ever notice that the craft beer world is like really hard left wing? I've noticed that ever since I've started getting involved in it. And they're extremely intolerant. You know, they claim we're the tolerant people. Well, of course, they tolerate any ideas which line up with their Marxist, Leninist thinking, whatever, you know. They're not tolerant. If you only tolerate ideas with which you agree and you're so closed-minded, you will never entertain any other ideas, you're not tolerant. You know, my channel, I've said you can come on the channel and state your case for 30 minutes uninterrupted. That's tolerant. I may not agree with it. I might say, well, I don't agree. You know, these people say they're tolerant and they want people's channels banned and must outlaw that. You can't be allowed to teach that idea about that war or whatever. Could be some history, information about history in the world. They're not tolerant. They're totalitarian. And their approach to craft beer and beer in general is the same way. It's like, it will be this way. You cannot deviate from my thinking. You know, down with the corporations. And we have to have power to the people, but yet they have like this odd devotion to government power. It's like, okay, yeah, you're a real revolutionary. You want the government to be more powerful and control people. Yeah, okay, that's new. Never heard that before. There's a new movement called fat acceptance, heart disease acceptance, diabetes acceptance, or some similar variation. Yeah, I heard about that. So it's like they ought to call it stupidity, except but that's the left. I mean, it's all about identity politics, spreading hatred. Yeah, claiming up is down, down is up. A man is a woman is a man. Good is evil, evil's good. I mean, believe me, I know. I've been dealing with this since I was 11, 12 years old. I know what they're going to say before they say it. I know how they operate. I don't believe I've ever had that. Ronnie, I'm reading the comments. I'm not on a stream yard where I can post them. I don't believe I've ever had the Blue Moon pumpkin. I'm enjoying a nice sour right now. Don't say that word around my friend David. He's like, sour. It's like sour beers are good sometimes, I don't really like them, honestly, but he hates them. He said, that's not beer. That's not beer. I'm like, it is beer. Just a beer you don't like. Wicked Weed Passion Fruit Session Sour. Sounds interesting. Craig says, hi. Hi, Craig. In our little secret hangout. I'm going to eat one more. No, I'm going to eat two more of these, and that's it. At nighttime now, I can't even eat a lot. I'm telling you. And normally, I eat at 4 in the evening, 4 o'clock. Like these little chips and dip or something like that. That's all I eat. That's my supper. My big meal is around 11:30, 12. So I had the fried potatoes and the kielbasa sausage with the extra sharp cheddar cheese melted on top with the diced onions and the bell peppers. I did that for lunch. But then you got time for it to die down, and then you eat a little tiny meal at night. Then you don't get all overweight. In the morning, eat a little small breakfast, carry you over to lunch. The same little cycle every day. But this beer is really good. I mean, I'm not sure it's really a parable beer. They claim it is. It's more to me a standalone, but it's really dynamite. I mean, I give it an A. An A. And then one of those other beer guys. See, I was watching. I just watch stuff because it's interesting, or sometimes it's just idiotic. But if I'm folding clothes, I'll watch some people's stuff. So I was watching some hangout, and they were attacking people who joined the founders thing last night. Jean-Pierre, they said, was an Uncle Tom. The other people were token liberals. I can't believe this other guy joined. He should know better. Like, he should know better than to join a hangout that talks about beers from a company that was accused by one person without any real evidence that I can see of being racist. You know what I mean? How dare he do that? I may have to reevaluate my friendship with him. And they were saying all kind of nasty things, all lies, a bunch of lies. Like, and taking things out of context. That's another thing the left loves to do, take everything out of context, And right-wing people, too. Usually neoconservatives do that. They love taking everything out of context, I'm always calling them out on Facebook. Talking about neocons. They'll take everything out of context and neoconservative is a form of left-wingism because it has roots in Trotskyite. Most people don't know that. It has communist roots, so why wouldn't it be that way? But you get these hoorah Americans. They don't know, they won't learn, they won't think, But one of these beer review guys, I'm so close to naming his name. I mean, I've been supporting this channel for years, and I'll pay you money if you can find a negative thing I ever said on this channel. But of course, you're not getting paid because I never did. I always say nice thing. he was saying, and he, talking about me, he said he would drink a beer with a swastika on the label. And I said, you know, I'm sleeping when they do all this. I don't stay up all night listening to all this junk. I said, boy, I said, here's a guy, we're doing a hangout, and he's going to totally twist everything I said. It's so comical, you know. But I think he just wanted to be in our beer hangouts and all because he thought it was going to help his channel. It was sort of like, oh, he has a big channel and he has a big channel and he has a big channel. I'm starting out, so let me kind of associate with these people and it will grow my great beer venture empire. I'm still waiting for that to develop. But, you know, I felt like that, like I was being kind of co-opted. But anyway, hold on. So, let's see the comments. Subject Zero. I finally watched the Friday Fandango video by Travis McGee. It was hilarious. Did you delete the original Fandango Friday was based on? I did delete it because there was a lot of animosity going on in that video, and a lot of it was sort of like a misunderstanding. And the curse, and Ronnie said, yeah, and it just wasn't it didn't really fit my channel format, which is like positive energy projection. You know, it's not supposed to be negative, dark energy, you know, and so, but it was pretty funny. When I watched the parody video, or like they constructed it with clips, was way better than the Fandango Friday video. I mean, the one that they did was like really funny. But I laugh so much when I watch it. I'm having a few Modelo Negras before bed. Not really a fan of Blue Moon. Yeah, I mean, if I never drank Blue Moon again, it wouldn't like break my heart. But I'm enjoying the pumpkin. I just felt driven to buy the pumpkin. I was so craving it, I guess. Just watch some of your Modelo Spice videos. Modelo Spice. I don't understand this whole founder thing. I never heard the story, says Ronnie. Yeah, you'd have to read about it. Say it, says Craig. This is only my opinion, but I don't think Alex is really a beer master. No, but he's on his way, Craig, like Ronnie says. Yeah, I mean, that's just his channel name. I mean, I'm not a beer master. But of course, that's not my channel name either. All right, the cooking spices from Modelo, I meant. Oh, yeah. That was a great series. So anyway, back to this little story that you're probably not interested in. But it's just funny. I said, we made that video, and I was saying, you see, people, it's irritating. We were talking about Lagunitas Imperial Russian Imperial Stout, or it might be called Imperial Russian Stout, which to me doesn't make sense that they're showing a hammer and sickle on the label, 2 hammer and sickles down on each side of the bottom of the label. When I first saw that, I said, it doesn't make sense because the Imperial Russian government wouldn't have used that. They used a crown or the double-headed eagle, you know, and all of that. And so that doesn't even make sense. That's the people that overthrew the Imperial Russian dynasty, the Romanovs. But the hammer and sickle as communists, that's the symbol of international communism. They killed like 38 million people in the 1900s. 38 million people, you know, that's not like, but then a lot of left-wing people say, well, you know, sometimes bad things have to happen for the greater good. It's like, wow, you're really deranged, you know. But then they talk all time, you know, and I was saying on the video, I said, well, why is that acceptable? I mean, it didn't bother me. I don't care. I said, I don't even care. I said, but it seems like they didn't need to put that on there. It's like, why would you put that on there? Could have just left it off. It's not necessary. And then I said, I know what these people are going to say, these liberal left-wing people. Oh, just relax. Forget about it. You're too uptight. You need to You need to just like stop being such a prude and let it go, man. It's just a hammer and sickle. Be cool. I'll wear a Che Guevara shirt. Okay. All right. Fine. Fine. I can go along with that. And this is what I was saying on Rajay's Hangout. Oh, I mean, that guy's Hangout. Now, I'm not going to name the person, of course. But I was saying, okay, I'll use that line of thinking that, don't be all uptight. It's just a hammer and sickle. Okay, so 30 or 40 million people got murdered. No big deal. It's just a symbol. I said, okay, well, let's use that line of thinking. Let's say they make a beer called Black Beer, Schwartz beer, and it's got a swastika on it. I mean, that'd be cool to drink, right? It's just a symbol. No big deal. No big deal. Just relax. They could call it Schutzstaffel Schwartz beer. Oh, they said, oh, well, I don't know about that. That's kind of, I said, well, you're telling me be edgy. You need to be edgy and be cool. And that's part of the craft beer scene. You like push the envelope, I said, well, I can think of no better way to push the envelope than to have that, swastika. Just call it swastika beer or a triumph. That's what I was saying in the video that I made. Triumph of the will, triumph des Willens, Schwartz beer. And he was saying, oh, I don't know if I would drink that. I said, but y'all were just telling me that the labeling doesn't matter. And you're drinking Lagunitas beers in all of your videos, in many of your videos. So if a totalitarian symbol like the swastika from the so-called Nazis, the National Socialist German Workers' Party, people don't like to use that term, the real term, Nationalsozialistische Deutschlander Arbeiterparty, they don't like to use that. I said, well, if it's good for the goose, why is it not good for the gander, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, I said, if the beer is good, you rate it. And that's what we were talking about on the Hangout. I said, you rate the beer as it is in the bottle or the can or draft. You compartmentalize. It's how is the beer on its own merits, unrelated to the labeling. I said, I thought it was strange that they had the hammer and sickle on the Lagunitas Imperial Russian Stout, but the beer itself was still an A+. And I said to the guy I was hanging out with, I said, if they had a swastika beer, I wouldn't recommend that. I would find that would be a bad labeling idea. I don't think it would be a very good idea at all. It'd be a marketing disaster. Like McDonald's selling Bloody Sundays. They just said they pulled that ad. Sunday, Bloody Sunday, Sundays. Okay. Probably worried they want to get sued by you too. But anyway, and so then he makes that comment last night. He said he would review a beer with a swastika on the label. I'll say you're daft. Either you're stupid. I don't think he's stupid, or you're deceitful, because you took my one sentence comment totally out of context, and you're trying to twist it to make it look like I'm championing beers with swastika imagery on it. And then there's some people that are limited, they have cognitive disability. They're limited. They think they're smart, but they're not. And they'll believe that and say, oh yeah, that guy, I heard him say that. It's like, no, you didn't hear me say that. You heard this cat totally misrepresent what I was saying and take it out of context. And see, that's my problem. I'll battle back. I mean, I'll fight back. I don't like to. I'd rather just talk about beer, But if you're going to be stupid, you have to kind of like explain the stupidity. You know what I'm saying? But it's positive energy projection. But there just has to be some intellectual ability. You know what I'm saying? An intellectual grasp. You have to understand context, looking at things from both sides, premise. You have to use inductive and deductive logic. I mean, that's important. You can't just be out there being all hysterical. Say, I'm a social justice warrior. I'm hysterical. I go crazy. I act crazy. I'm fighting for the power, power to the people right on. No, you have to have some intellect Being smart is not a sin. Okay, speaking of Imperial Russia, when's the next history video? I'd love to join it if possible. I don't know. I've been thinking about that. Been thinking about it. Some people did some things. Yeah, that's a good comment. Some people did some things. Well, that's their attitude. Talk about all these mass murders under communism. They'll say, well, so what? But boy, talk about Germany. Oh, I talk about that 29 hours a day. And no one's excusing that. No one's excusing mass murder, whether it's somebody in a black uniform or a gray uniform or a red or a khaki uniform. It's wrong to murder people. You know, we have a more purified, in my mindset, we have a more purified approach because we're saying it's wrong to murder people at all. But not them. The left say, oh, well, some people deserve it. You know, this is their mindset. Some people deserve it because they're capitalist pigs. They're corporate worms. And they'll literally believe that. So then you have in Germany the same mentality. Well, they deserved it because of their ethnicity. And then on the left, they say, well, they deserved it because of their class. These bourgeoisie. You know, so they'll justify killing, you see. And then the paleo conservatives, the hoorah super patriots, they'll justify mass murder too. You know, we talk about atom bomb attacks. Oh, well, that was necessary. It was necessary to drop an atom bomb on 70 and kill 70,000 people. Because look at all the lives it saved. I'm like, wow, you have a really deranged viewpoint of morality. And I can always hit these people with logic and they run. I say, so basically you support the German ideology, right? In World War II. What do you mean? I say, well, Heinrich Himmler and this Schutzstaffel, the German, and they had the Einsatzgruppen, they call it special tasks units. They said they had to do special tasks to deal with Jewish insurrection in the East. But why? If you hear their explanation, they said these tasks are necessary because of possibility that there could be partisan attacks on German soldiers behind the lines. In other words, we're doing these special operations in order to save soldiers' lives. And the Americans said we have to drop the atom bombs on the civilians. Why? To save the lives of the invasion force, the soldiers. I said, well, what's the difference? I tell these people, like, what's the difference? So if you shoot somebody with a rifle or you make them breathe in poison gas, it's worse than if you drop a radiation bomb on them. You know, please advise me, you know, give me some logical explanation of that. Oh, but they'll just start screaming and hollering, if you don't like America, you can leave. I was like, you're really not a smart person. All right. Craig Swinson said, you ever notice most vegans are pro-abortion? I haven't noticed that, but it sounds about right. The United States, Ronnie says, the United States had to enter the war to save the Jews. Oh, wait, they didn't save them. Oh, well, why are you bringing up these inconvenient, irritating truths? Oh, my word. If you talk about World War II, half the world will call you racist and a Nazi. Even if you are anti-war, you could actually be opposing the war. I've opposed war. This is the most ironic. I've opposed war and been called all these names for being against the war. If you're anti-war, you can make a lot of enemies. They'll call you all kind of names, racist. Oh, it doesn't end. But I don't feel bad about it. I'm not uncomfortable because I know I'm right. Like all these people I'm talking about, they can come on my channel. They can debate me. They'll lose. It'll be a disaster. It'll be a disaster. It'll be a absolute disaster. So they're not going to do it. They're trying to build their channel, sell merch. I mean, if I'm trying to sell glasses and T-shirts, you know, and hang out with all the right people and hobnob with all the right brewing companies, I'm not going to go debate politics with anti-war and Ron Ontario and get myself all embarrassed. I got to be at a distance and project that. Yeah. But they can come on anytime. I'm not going to use notes, no reference books, no nothing. It's like I'm like Tony Montana and going into that hotel. I got my hands up. I got nothing on me. Well, I got a gun behind me, but I got nothing on me. And we can battle it out. If you feel strong, come on. But you're not going to do it because you're going to get beat, and you're going to get beat bad, and it's going to be embarrassing. And you might not sell that many glasses and T-shirts and get on Patreon. That's the thing that cracks me up the most. People say, support my Patreon so I can buy beer to make videos for you. I was like, what does Patreon mean? Do I have to give you money? Because like, why would I give you money so I could watch you drink beer and tell me how you like it? I would not pay you money for that. Well, I mean, why would I do that? And why would I buy a T-shirt for a beer review channel that nobody ever heard? I wouldn't buy a T-shirt for somebody famous. Like, so why would I buy a T-shirt in a cup, in a glass, in a mug, and all that? I mean, I could really go, and you know how I'm pointing like this? This is the thing about politicians that really irritates me. They're so deranged and totalitarian. I got to go watch college football. You ever notice that politicians never point? Maybe Trump does because he's not a politician, but they'll point. They won't point. Like most normal people, when they talk, to be like, let me tell you something. Did you hear about that? But you ever notice politicians do this? No one in real life talks like that. I want to talk about the children. Let's talk about America. It's like, who in the world I say, who talks like that? Because they probably go to some training sessions. Don't point, because they'll think you're like Hitler pointing, because he used to do like that, And so they do this like adopted thing. What do you call it? Affected thing. Like, I'm just here tonight to talk about Serbia and Yugoslavia. I'm so worried about the children. They're being attacked and killed in Kosovo. We have to save lives by doing massive bombing attacks on the civilian population of Yugoslavia. Belgrade must be bombed to save lives. And I'm like, well, who in the world talks like that? Only maniacs talk like that. Some people did something to some journalists, and we continue to arm them and do business with them. Some people are carrying on a genocide in northern Syria, and we continue to arm them, says Subject Zero. Right. Some people have military bases all over the world because they are protecting our liberties somehow. Right. Ronnie, that last comment is giving me flashbacks to the awkward late night hangout a while ago. Oh, yeah, that was a great hangout. Now, I remember watching that. I watched that hangout. And they were telling me, oh, Ronnie did all these things. I said, okay. But they were saying, but everybody was drinking. When you drink, people say stuff. I said, yeah, so I'm well aware. So I watched it. I was very careful. I was watching it. And I'm waiting for the big moment. It's like, well, I didn't really see a big moment. I was just listening to people talk. And then Ronnie made some sort of pertinent comments about hoorah and America, keeping the world safe. And those people just kind of flipped out. And he was just saying, no, how am I wrong? How am I wrong? And he was just kind of kidding around anyway. And he was like, I don't want to have this conversation. Really, let's just drop it. No, they weren't going to drop it. They were just going on and on, cursing, screaming, hollering. And so they came to me, like people always come to me like I'm a guru, like, let me tell you something. Eric Fraunfelter upset me. Or Tyler said something that upset me. And I was like, why are you coming to me? I'm not a guru. But they all came to me the next morning. I wake up and they're like, let me tell you what happened with Ronnie. I was like, oh, what? So, but they didn't like what I told them. I said, he didn't do anything wrong. He said everything I would have said. If I'd have been on the hangout, you'd have been mad at me. And plus, he kept telling you like 50 times he didn't want to have the conversation. Like if somebody tells you 50 times, let's just drop it. It's not that important. And you keep harping on it. Okay. I'm the same way. It's like, okay, I don't want to talk about it, but I'm not going to back down. All right. I mean, if you press the issue, I'm not backing down, and you're not going to like what I'm saying. And I've told people this at work and in other settings. I said, like at a party or something, like watching a football game. I'm like, I don't think you want to talk about this. And then they just keep going. And then pretty soon it's like the whole party's ruined and they're standing in the street, their shirts off, and they're like, you want to fight me, bro? You want to fight me? And I'm like, I try to tell you not to talk about that. And you don't want to fight me because I don't fight like that. I don't fight like regular people. I don't want to advise you doing that. So I was basically just saying, I don't think he did anything wrong. And then all of a sudden they said, well, he can come back to the group. I was like, okay. I guess they thought I was going to say, yeah, he's bad. Get him out. He's a troublemaker. I wasn't going to say that. Unless I thought he was bad and was being a troublemaker, but I was not seeing that. Okay. Oh, well, that's water under the bridge. Uh-oh, don't say bridge. Okay. Oh, well, I think I defended my position. I thought you did it very well, but they weren't listening. No one was listening. They were just screaming. He was making a good point, and then it was like, oh, how dare you say that? You've been picking on me all night. And I was like, how is he picking on you? You do this all the time. Then their argument was, I was in the military. And I was watching the video saying, well, how is that relevant? Okay, you defended your position. They were not listening, says Subject Zero. Ha, says Craig. Thank you, Zero. Look, laughing out loud, Ron. Party ends with the shirts off. I don't care if you want to stand in the street and take your shirt off and say, do you want to fight me, bro? I tried to tell you 2 hours ago that you don't want to go there. You're bringing up Iraq, and I'm telling you you should be watching the game and drinking your Bud Light, whatever, eat your nachos. Like, you don't want to talk to me about Iraq. I'm telling you, you don't want to talk to me about this. Because I know how it's going to go. And you're not smart, and I am, But I can teach you things, but you're not going to listen. And then, in another hour, they're saying, oh, so you like Saddam Hussein. I was like, okay. I mean, I told you, I knew what you were going to say. But I'm not going to back down. That's not going to happen. That's an impossibility. It cannot happen. Or they'll bring up something about the war, like, oh, Abraham Lincoln. I'm like, oh, boy, here we go. I'm trying to tell you. But you didn't listen. Just watch the game and drink Bud Light. Right. Leave the thinking to the other folks. No, I mean, everybody should be able to think and express opinions. It's not about that. It's like, but know what you cannot come at me with this, like Yoko Ono said, this spoon and June approach. It's got to be deeper than that. You cannot come at me with all this spoon and June. There's got to be some at least rudimentary knowledge of these things. You say, well, I watch Fox every night. Like I just said, there's got to be more than just some rudimentary knowledge of these things. And that's another problem. You watch every night. How about reading something? You ever read? You want to read? You want to learn how to read? Why don't you read LouRockwell.com every morning? Instead of reading all these establishment books like Stephen Ambrose, who got in trouble for stealing other people's ideas, plagiarizing. I said, boy, there was never a more establishment guy, historian, if you want to call him a historian, which is sort of comical. I mean, I don't know. I don't want to sit here and argue about it, okay? I don't want to say, I'm sorry. I don't want to sit here and argue about the children. Well, they had weapons of mass destruction, Ron, but let's not go there. All right. Oh, man. I used to just go to town on these people back in 2002 and 2003. Oh, man, I was just going off. You should have seen me then. It was so fiery. I didn't care. I would tell my family, my friends, people I didn't know. It was just a total. What happened to the bottle cap? How can you drop a bottle cap and it disappears into the universe? And I would always trap them in all their arguments. They would always fall for everything. Well, how do you lose a bottle cap that fast? That's not possible. Well, for my next trick, didn't know a bottle cap could just like go away, but it did. You say it rolled away. How? It rolled on carpet? What, a bottle cap rolls on carpet? Okay. Amazing. Amazing. I tried to read Mark Dice books. I wish I read Lou Rockwell back in 2003. Yeah, so I mean, it goes on and on and on. And they used to tell me all that back in 2002, 2003. You hate America. I was like, how do I hate America if I'm trying to save America? You have a very deranged. But they used to say, this was so funny. They would say, oh, we have to attack Iraq because they have weapons of mass destruction. And I would say, well, so? We have weapons of mass destruction. And we've used them twice. Not we, because I wasn't around. The United States is the only country I know of that dropped atom bombs on civilians. Oh, and then they'd flip out and go screaming and hollering about that. Well, they'd say, well, the United Nations won't do anything about it. So we have to have the coalition of the willing. I said, well, didn't they go to the United Nations and demand that the Security Council order an invasion of Iraq? But they said no. And they said, well, we're going to do it anyway. I said, so why are we even in the United Nations? What's the whole purpose? Why is the U.S. in the United Nations? What's the point? So the United Nations, you join the organization and it says, well, we pledge we will never use war to settle differences. This is the pledge when you join the United Nations. We will never use warfare to settle conflicts. And we can only use war to defend ourselves or if the Security Council orders a peacekeeping mission. Just read the document. Go read it. All right. It's right there on UNO. Whatever the United Nations organization website is. So this is so comical. The Bush administration, von Rumsfeld and Paul Wolfowitz and all of them, they go to the UN. We demand that you invade Iraq because they're a threat. And the UN said, they're not a threat. You're just saying that. It's kind of like the founders thing. They're racist. They're racist. What evidence? Because I said it. Oh. They're a threat. They're a threat. Iraq, not Germany, not France, not Russia, Iraq. It's like saying this little league team is dangerous. They might beat us. You're all 35 years old. What are you talking about? Those kids are 11. They're a little league team. We have to kill all those kids. They might make us lose a softball game. So Iraq, they have like 2 ships in their Navy and 12 planes. And they never won a war in their entire history. They're a threat. So the UN says no, because France already said. What did France say? You can go into the Security Council. We're going to vote no. France has a veto. They're a permanent member. The United States set that up. Oh, the French are bad people. We saved them twice. That's a lie, first of all. And secondly, they have a right to vote no. They don't. Do you know how that works? If you join the Security Council, you don't have to vote yes. You can vote any way you want. Somehow the United States forgot that. You don't have to vote America's way. You can vote no, you can abstain, or you can vote yes. So what did they say? Well, since we can't get our vote, we're going to invade anyway. A coalition of the willing. And then I was saying on the phone to the radio shows and everything, I said, well, the United Nations should immediately expel the United States. They should be expelled like the League of Nations expelled Russia, the Soviet Union in 1939. I said, but they're not going to do it because the United States supports the United Nations. Like 80, I don't know, 75% of the money comes from the United States. And why do countries join the United Nations? So that their people can go to New York City and eat expensive meals on an expense account. That's why they go and they stay in a Waldorf Astoria hotel, and all the representatives eat extremely expensive meals. It's like a vacation for 2 years. You say, I'm the ambassador to the UN from Gambia. Why? And the U.S. is paying for all this, so why would you kick them out? You say, well, that sounds like a scam. Yeah, got it. So they invaded Iraq anyway. You say, they attacked us. They did? I don't recall that. All right. So never use we when discussing the government. Yeah, I'm sorry. I listen to the news too much. Freedom fries, anyone? I remember that, freedom fries. I'm not going to eat French fries. I'm eating freedom fries. The power of fries compels you. Yeah, so I used to, and this whole thing I'm talking about is I used to get into these big arguments with the neoconservatives over all that. And they told me I was un-American. I hated America. I used to laugh. And they hated France. You know, we saved France twice. I said, you're wrong. We never saved France. You don't even know history. You just, I said, I could totally show you you're wrong. They say, all the French want to do is surrender. That's their strategy. Surrender, surrender. I said, what are you even talking about? When did they ever do that? But they didn't know. How you going to talk about history? You don't know anything about history. They just kept repeating all these little memes. They didn't even have Facebook in 2003, and people were doing that on email or something. I don't know. What did they use? MySpace. I wasn't even on MySpace. But they always had these little, might have been on like Fox or something. They call Ron Paul un-American too. You're in good company. Right. He's un-American. And I remember when Ron Paul was running for president, this guy, I used to argue with him all the time. He's a friend of mine on Facebook, but he's like too standardized American history buff, you know. He said, I don't like Ron Paul. He slouches too much. I was like, wow, that's a real good reason to vote against somebody, because their presentation is not the greatest. Because he's not polished like all the psychopaths that you want to vote for. Great. Yeah. He's not like Mitt Romney or insane McCain. Was McCain polished? You know, he was polished. We got to have war. We got to have war. Whereas pencils, always holding pencils. The best way to solve problems in the world is to bomb everybody. Bomb and kill and kill and bomb. And I hate Trump because he wants to stop all the bombing and the killing. That was my impression of John McCain, because that's the way I always thought about him. I used to call him insane McCain. He was mad, a madman. And the media loved him. Oh, he's a renegade. So how is he a renegade? Because he supports the establishment? That makes you a renegade? Because you support the military industrial complex? Oh, okay, a renegade. Your daddy was an admiral. Okay, some renegade. And they loved him, you know, because he was like always reliable, liberal. They always used to say he's a conservative. I was like, say he's a conservative, but he always votes liberal. Okay, yeah, that's the media for you. It's like, when the chips are down, you just know he's voting liberal. And he's going to always vote for war. So anyway, the pumpkin ale is great. To me, it's really good. I can't find the bottle cap. I never lost a bottle cap like that. That's bizarre. Oh, well, I think we'll survive without a bottle cap. But they didn't love him when he ran against Obama, though. Well, they say, you see, but the liberal media has a hierarchy of virtue. They have a racial hierarchy of virtue. They have a political hierarchy of virtue. It's sort of like those shows on those TV shows like Big Brother or whatever, where they knock people out. It's like that lifeboat scenario where you knock people out until there's only one person left in the lifeboat. You choose who has more virtue. So they liked McCain because he was always like undermining any conservative movement in the Republican Party. But they hated him when he ran against Obama because Obama was, more virtuous by virtue of certain characteristics, let us say. So he trumped McCain. Then, well, once Trump came in office, then McCain was hero number one again. You see, so that's how they operate. When you have no values except for supporting communism, and you're totally immoral, you can do that. See, because you don't care how it looks. You don't care about the hypocrisy. You just do it. Totally, you're like when they asked Ash, you admire it. The alien. He said, I admire its purity. Has no morals. Has nothing holding it back. It was a total killing machine. And that's what Ash said in the 1979 movie, 40 years ago. Good thing the legacy media has been in decline and getting replaced by independent YouTubers. Yeah, but they're getting banned. You see, if you don't talk establishment, you'd be off the platform. Now YouTube is trying to put their thumb on the scale for legacy media. Right. Great beer review, Ron. I enjoyed this, says Ronnie. Yeah, kind of had something to do with beer. But that's why I do the anti-war channel, because I can not worry too much about it is a beer review. I just told you the pumpkin ale is an A. There are ancillary parts of the video, which might take up 96% of the content, but there are ancillary parts of the beer review, which may and are almost certainly more interesting than the beer review. Do I like doing beer reviews? Well, yeah, I do. But I'd rather talk about history, government, and politics all the time on Hangouts. Of course, that's way more important and it's way more interesting. It's much more interesting. People are reluctant to talk about it. So I talk about the beer and I say, oh, it has bread notes. It tastes very crusty. Oh, it's a little bit bitter. The body's heavy. I like how it finishes crisp. Well, this beer is a little more alcoholic than I had first believed, but I'm still give it a 92, high A minus, nearly an A, and I would recommend it. And I could just do that every day for the next 20 years, and people say, oh, I love your videos, man. So that's fine, but I mean, I would rather talk about more in-depth topics, but people they don't want to talk about it. They just want to talk about, hey, man, I found that Pabst Blue Ribbon coffee beer. And I'm like, oh, man, I'd like to try that. I can be like sort of like, what do you call that? Thin, what is it? Surface area. I could talk about all those non-important things. It's fine. I have a beer channel. I like it. And I always say it doesn't even matter. And people are saying, I just say it doesn't matter. It's beer reviews. It's just people talking about a beverage. I don't know why, but it's not my religion. You see, some people, that's their religion. It's not a religion. It's just a drink. Anti-war is an A+, says Ronnie. Yes, I agree with that. Oh, thank you, man. I'm just joking. I'm very humble, and I'm the first to admit it. Craig says, Red Ice has been deleted from YouTube. Same with Thulian perspective. Just awful. Yeah, I mean, you could be gone tomorrow, It's communist war. Just if you'd rather talk about history and politics, I think you should do it more often. But I never get around to it. Like I'll say, well, I don't have time. Like doing a beer review doesn't take a lot of time. I do the research, which is very interesting. I'll agree. I'll admit to that. Like when I research a beer, it's interesting. It's just interesting, and it's a hobby. I mean, it is a hobby. I can't say, oh, I just do it just to do it. I mean, it's a hobby, but I didn't say a hobby was important. It's important for your personal, like, enjoyment, relaxation, and that. Okay? I'm not downgrading it. And I do the liquor and the wine. And it's enjoyable. And I like doing the beer reviews. I do like them. I'm not saying I don't. I'm saying that I would prefer, and I've tried to kind of like pull people in over the years, but they don't really want. I mean, Ronnie has, and a few others, but most people are like, uh, they think it's bad to be proud to be white. I'm very proud to be white. People should be proud of their heritage, but then, that Marxist Leninist mindset is you can't be proud of your heritage, only other heritage. I don't entertain that. I never entertain that. Sorry, I'm off topic a bit. That's okay. So, no, I intend to do beer reviews forever. I mean, obviously not forever, but however, but it's time. It takes a lot of time to do the hangouts, and then it just be going on and on and on, and then so it's really like a time consumption issue, and not to mention that people are not interested in doing it. I am proud of things I accomplish, not what happens by chance. Thank you. Thank you. Now you're using good thinking, but you always did, Subject Zero. Always liked your comments. Okay, well, enough of that. I'm going to watch college football. The game is on, and I'm missing it. Doggone it, talking about history. Now, I'm saying what's important. I'm worried about a football game. Like that's real important. About two teams I don't even care about. All right, but anyway, Blue Moon, Harvest Pumpkin Wheat, a real winner. So buy it. You'll probably like it. Thank you. You take care.